Just a quick recap for Raj's sake, because if not, he'll be absolutely lost. Last week, we basically learned the heat energy formula, right? Which we had said that the heat energy formula, you might want to write this down on that page. Yeah, then no, not this page. That page. Yeah. Yeah, this one here. The formula is supposed to be Q equals to what? Theta. MC theta, guys, like MC hammer, you know, but MC theta here, right? MC theta, Q was supposed to be the heat energy measured in joules. This was supposed to be the mass measured in kg. This was supposed to be the change in temperature, guys. It was a change in temperature that is measured in degrees Celsius. And finally, C was supposed to be the... What was it again? Specific heat capacity, guys. Specific heat capacity. And what was specific heat capacity again? Kai-Xin, what does a specific capacity mean to you? Yes, very good. Your reading skills is excellent. Right. Specific capacity is basically the amount of energy needed to change a substance of 1 kg by 1 degree Celsius. And the units, without referring to the notes, catch up. What's the units for specific heat capacity again? Degree Celsius. Bloody hell, specific heat capacity is zero. No. Emma, how do we find the units for specific capacity again? You make C the... Yeah, you make it the subject, right? Sorry, what was your units again? Yeah, you're supposed to rearrange the units, and then you're supposed to rearrange the whole formula, and you'll get the units here, right? It's shut up lah. It's joules per kg degrees Celsius lah. Right. This was what we have learned last week, right? From here. So basically, if I say that the specific capacity is, let's say, for example, 900 joules per kg degrees Celsius, right? It means to say I need, here to this one, I need 900 joules to change 1 kg of a substance by 1 degree Celsius. Usually, metals have a relatively lower specific capacity compared to water or liquid. Liquid, they'll have relatively higher. Let's say it needs somewhere around 4,400 joules per kg degree Celsius. This means to say that you need much more energy to heat up water of 1 kg by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, this is what we learned last week. Very important. Okay. And you better all know how to define it, because they will ask you this in the exam. In fact, later, when I ask you guys to do the questions in the past year paper, I'm going to go one by one and make sure you don't refer to the notes. And then you have to answer me.
Right.
What?
Nice haircut.
Thank you.
Doing that pretty tough.
Yeah. The botak face didn't last long, right?
Unfortunate.
Okay, then next part here, we're going to basically learn about converting electrical energy into heat energy. And the basic understanding is, we first and foremost know that heat energy is Q equals to MC theta, right? Right. So if you want to convert electrical energy to heat energy, for example, let's say, for example, today I have did I press record here? I did, right? For example, let's say I have a metal block here, right? This metal block will have 2 very specific holes for it to be inserting one heater here, right? Let's say I have a heater here. This is a heater, which is obviously electrically powered, right? It's electrically powered. And then there's, let's say, for example, here I place a thermometer here. Okay, it's a thermometer. That looks different, but it's a thermometer. There's a heater here. Today, if I want to convert electrical energy to heat energy, the basic formula is, first and foremost, I need to know how much power am I supplying to this heater for a certain amount of time, right? If you guys ever play with the ironing board before, sorry, the iron before, right? It's basically that scenario, right? Of converting electrical energy to heat energy, Anyone don't know what the iron is? Don't know.
I don't know.
If you don't know, you'll be too privileged already, right? But anyways, from here, what you're supposed to understand is, if we want to convert electrical energy into heat energy, you have to use back the basic power formula once again. What's the basic power formula? What's the basic power formula? What? It's not work done over time. It's always energy over time, guys. I've mentioned this in class before. Why do I emphasize that it should not be work done over time? Is because if, let's say today, for example, you fixate your mind with work done over time, right, you'll always find that it's going to be force time distance over time. But I've mentioned it multiple times that this energy could be any energy. It could be work done, it could be gravitational potential energy, it could be kinetic energy, and in this scenario, obviously, it's supposed to be heat energy lah. Okay, so from the basic understanding is, if power is equal to energy over time here, right, in this case is heat energy over time, making Q the subject, guys, making Q the subject this time, I basically means to say that Q is equals to power times time, right? And in other words, since I already know that Q is equals to MC theta, the general formula here will be MC theta is equal to power times time. Understand? Meaning to say, depend on how much power I supply to this heater and how much time I supply to it, obviously the temperature is going to increase accordingly also. Understand or not, guys? Everyone understand this part? Very important. Okay. So if you want to have a more structured sequence here, it's basically heat energy can be converted from other forms such as electrical potential or even kinetic energy. The formula is power is equals to energy over time. In this case here, Q is equals to power times time, which is MC theta is equals to power times time. Right. I think maybe copying this would be easier. Maybe copy this would be easier. Copy this down right now into the box. Power is equals to energy over time, energy equals to power times time, and MC theta equals to power times time. Once you're done copying, write the units for your own sake, right? What the units of mass, specific quantity, and you find that it's a bit odd. Everyone else is doing a different page. Alright, write the units for each and every one of these symbols here for your own reference. What is of power again, Ava? Watts, very good. W. Write the units for all the unit symbols and then start doing the 3 questions of power. Okay, do the 3 questions at the bottom. Read the questions please. Okay, with value. So it's like no space, you write something down, I think you write a memo.
Right. Okay. You know what right now? They will all be ridiculous. Hey, they know the answer should be 500 something. No problem. Check and see one part will be wrong then. Very investigated for the. Why? Right, this is good because everything was started.
Hey, change your units. Always never change. No, always never look at your units. Don't be funny. Right? But then, what I have to be doing with them, so I can get paid regularly. Yeah. Yeah. And go. Fire. Ready. What fire? Huh? It's on you. Oh, stop. Here you go. He did. Oh, he did. You're the one that's leading fire. I mean, it's fire to me. Now, back to the question. What does model problem? Is there the same? Oh, what is one to get big of it's sort of problem. That's good. So you get three and so what is one that is so you get going wrong thing. This is default. That is nothing that's so. I remember this actually this one you bring also somewhere and go really get the that. I think that's all not big. So the water tastes like this. Huh? Like, I don't know, the top of the fire. They don't want to do this, just don't want to stir. You're not gonna get it. You know why? This thing is really good. If I this thing is supposed to buy a 5 this thing I sell. Oh, yeah, okay. Hey. Which one is your mic? You're already. That's medical house. That is. That's it. Oh, you think something. I'll leave it to switch to the guys. What is this? You bought it? Yeah. I got how much? Oh, you got the plate with me and I'm what pictures of this. Yes. You buy it when it's now. Should be, you know, I don't. The thing that I want. Zero for the investments. Yes. Yes. You. At least. Okay. I think you should done by hand. Your answer should be, pay attention now. 6,000 joules. Right, you're damn working. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then it should be 6 degrees on B. And then the next question number 2, you're supposed to get 1 joules per kg degree Celsius. And question number 3, you're supposed to get 200 watts. I'm sure you get it. Got it, you know. Anyone didn't get any question or not? You managed to do all of it. Okay, the same answer is relatively straightforward. I don't want to waste too much time here already. Okay, anyways, this is supposed to be your answers. 6,000 joules, 6 degrees Celsius, 521 joules per kg degree Celsius, and 200 watts. Right. For those who are watching the video, just replay the one. They removed this from the syllabus already, so you can skip the whole page. This thing has been removed for some reason. Maybe it's because it was intertwined with the chemistry chapter. I think you guys seen this graph in chemistry before, right?
Yeah.
You know why the reason they flatline is because the energy is absorbed by the bonds to break them, to change them from one state to another. Like for example, solid changing into liquid, break bonds, then change to liquid, then break bonds and change to gas. They removed it. I quite like this chapter, but they removed it, sadly. Okay, and the final part here before I throw you guys into the exercises today is basically about evaporation. And if you think about evaporation, first and foremost, you need to know the whole sequence of how evaporation occurs. But before I even talk about the sequence, where does evaporation occur again? Where? I mean, good, very good. Evaporation will only occur on the surface of the liquid, guys. This is the first thing you must know. So if you think about it logically, guys, evaporation is essentially a changing state of liquid into gas state, right? And in order for liquid to change into gas state, what must they do? What must they absorb? Good. They must absorb energy, right? So my next question is, where do these surface molecules absorb their energy from? Not exactly. No, even if without the presence of the sun, evaporation can occur. It is the energy from itself. To be very specific, it is actually from the energy of the molecules below it. Okay, so pay attention, this is important. So what actually occurs is, right, these surface molecules, right, they will try to go through evaporation. And in order to go through evaporation, they must first absorb energy from the molecules below it. Okay, they absorb energy. And once they have absorbed enough energy, what happens is, right, they will try to break the forces of attraction between each and every one of these molecules here, right? Once they have enough energy to break the forces of attraction between the molecules here, what happens is they'll escape to the surrounding as gas molecules, right? So what happens to these molecules here is because their energy decreases, right? What will happen to the temperature? It decreases as well. Right. When the temperature decreases, this is the reason why, guys, all the water, right? If you place a cup of water in open room temperature, right? Eventually, overnight, when you drink the water again, you'll feel that the water is actually colder than the room temperature because evaporation continuously occurs at any specific temperature. And if you think about it, they are continuously supplying energy, meaning to say, the more energetic molecules have already escaped to the surrounding as gas molecules already, leaving behind only the less energetic molecules. That's why the temperature will always decrease. This is also the same exact concept of how sweating helps regulate the body temperature, guys. If you think about sweating, right, let's imagine this is a layer of skin, right? If you ever notice how sweat is being secreted, you'll notice that actually it comes out in water droplets onto your skin first, right? And the reason why it is in water droplets is obviously because it wants to have more surface area in contact with the air. So what happens is these water molecules, they will continuously absorb energy from the body of your skin. Skin of your body what? Body of your skin. Whatever they absorb energy from beneath it right? And then what happens is when these guys get enough energy, same process again, they'll break the bonds, right? Break the bonds and escape to gas. That's why some of you guys who are athletes, right? Usually if you play at night, you see that actually your skin is like fuming. Have you ever seen those scenarios before? It's because the heat is constantly being absorbed from your skin, and then the water molecules is constantly changing into gas molecules already. That's why you can see that your body is kind of like steaming, and that's when you know you're steaming hard. All right, so from here, this whole process also lowers the energy in your body, which in other words regulates your body temperature. If one day for some god-forsaken reason you can no longer sweat anymore, you know what's going to happen? Every time you go out and play badminton, you'll get a heat stroke. And every time you get a heat stroke, your brain cells die a little bit more and you're closer to death that little bit more. Okay. Oh, by the way, so those people who actually get heat stroke is usually because their whole body is overheated already. It's the same scenario like your computer going into the blue screen of death. Have you guys ever played your computer until it's so hot that it goes into a blue screen? Right. I mean, for those who don't play the computer, you probably won't experience this. But for any gamers, such as Justin here, right? Usually the computers will go into blue screen is because their computer is overheating, right? Same like our body also. If our body overheats, our brain will shut down also on the blue screen of death. And you just lie flat and you let the heat slowly dissipate. Right. So this is the things that you need to know. There are also three factors that you should know that it affects the rate of evaporation. What are the three factors that you think will affect the rate of evaporation? Good. Temperature is definitely number one, right? The higher the temperature, the more evaporation occurs. For example, if you drink a hot cup of Milo, you can keep seeing like a steams or gas coming up from your Milo, right? Because when the temperature is high, your evaporation will for sure be higher because got damn a lot of energy. What's the second factor? Surface area, very good. Because obviously, like I mentioned, evaporation only occurs on the surface. So if I have some surface area like this versus a surface area like this, for sure this one, the evaporation occurs more on. Right. What's the final one? What's the final one? Good. Humidity. What does humidity mean? It's not the same as humidity. Good, very good. It is basically the moisture in the air, guys. It is basically the moisture in the air, right? For those who do not know, guys, Malaysia is considered a very humid country. That's why when you sweat, right, after sweating, your skin kind of feels sticky. It's because the water, the moisture from the air is actually stuck onto your skin. That's why you always feel that sticky sensation. But if you go to more dry countries, like for example, UK or Japan, right, after you finish sweating, your body is like you just went for a bath. You won't have that sticky sensation because all the humidity from your skin is being evaporated into the air already. So your skin feels kind of dry, which is essentially what happens when you come out from a shower, right? You feel like it's quite smooth, no sticky sensation, that kind of situation. Right. So humidity is very important also, right? Humidity is basically the moisture in your air. And usually in your exam, if they were to test you on humidity, usually they won't say like, oh, this is a very wet country or this is a very hot, dry country. They usually don't say that. Instead, they'll say something like, okay, right now I have a cup here, right? And I have another cup that is being blown by a fan. I mean, a poorly illustrated fan, but a fan nonetheless. Right. Which one will be less humid? The one with the fan will be less humid. Why? Because if you think about it, as this thing evaporates, there'll be actually water particles, not water particles, moisture in the air, right? So when this is evaporated, then when the humidity is high here, then this thing will slow down on its evaporation already, right? But as this thing evaporates, every time it evaporates, right, this wind blows it all away. And when it blows it all away, it's like the moisture is not in the air again. And then once again, the evaporation will increase and so on. That's why if you place any cup in front of a fan, it will usually cool down much faster because evaporation continuously absorbs energy on it and then continuously being blown away, reduce the humidity, and then the whole thing has to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Okay, everyone, any questions from this part here? Good, 100% absorption rate. Copy everything down. Okay. Once you're done copying everything, please make sure you read through this. It's relatively important, right? You can start doing the questions at the bottom here already. This first question here, please read the question and understand what they want from you first. Okay. Always the second, especially with all cylinders, unless they otherwise. Now to do this question, you have to know the formula for the guys. You stay one. Or yeah, very good. Then you make it simplify.
Let me just see. State the measurements the students need to make, including those attributed. Seriously, 是的。
Very good. Proceed on to the next question. Well, 这个老师也
Yes, chef.
my favorite Indian student. Yes, that's
But you still speak energy like an hour. I mean, okay, so the time here, wow. You don't need energy, power, time is great energy already. And you need what's this? What's this? You know, for the specificity the battery, right? That's the final measurement. When evaporation happens, all the mass, the temperature, the power and time, that's all you need to write down. The mass, temperature, power and time is all you need to write it. And to write that, for sure you get. Change state, maybe that state. They don't disappear. Yeah, it's not much. Are you lost? What's the formula you need first here? I'm looking for specific capacity, right? So which formula should you refer to? Oh, so you need this component, right? You need this, you need this, you need this, and you also need this, right? In order to find this. So all these fall down, and you get it. Yes, right. My favorite Indian student. Yeah, what do you want? Exchange becomes a multi transaction fee is becomes like based on the liquid grid will absorb energy from molecules below grid, leaving behind. That's way. The whole thing should be liquid. There's a big molecules will absorb energy and this kind of absorb energy that will take apart the changing state from liquid to gas, leaving behind the less energetic molecules. How we will structure it. Well, but I guess this is yes. Everyone seems to have a good idea of this chapter. What's your school holidays like, guys? August, April. How long 1 week? I'll go play some VR. Tropicana Gardens. Sorry, Tropicana Ballpark. You guys ever heard of Tropicana Ballpark? They have this new game, right, that can play VR and then air hockey and then golf and PS5 and everything. Then I want them to have a look at it, thinking that maybe we can organize it. April when? The first week. Oh, the first week of April. Okay. I should do something, but yeah, what? I should do something for April. You need to do something or you did something? I should do something for April. Yeah. You can do. It's gonna be like the blue should I? No. It's great time for him. I actually don't want to know that plan. I feel like it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be something that's different. It's cheating. Going all this full house. That phone, I've never dropped that phone before. The only time it's been dropped is when like other people slap it on. And those times, one time it fell on the road. And it's still in pristine condition. And it's remains. Yeah. Except for the fact that it's slow as hell. That's like an age thing. Oh, you already changed the phone already. That's also like AT&T. Like it's not from this country. Oh, it's from America. But I installed like a regular ROM to it, so I'm not like locked or anything. Oh. I used to like to play with Samsung phones because I do a lot of things with it, a lot of programs. Yeah. That's kind of why I'm upgraded. I like upgrade switch. Doesn't matter what it's not doing since they can
Just switch pro.
we have things.
But then you tell your partner, hey, can I score certain amount of A's and then you actually you'll be pleased to
Not a doable function.
it's doable.
I
Other people can do it.
huh?
Other people can do it.
I'm not other people.
Yeah.
Several goals in life and try to achieve them all at the same time is my problem. I can't focus on things. Consistently.
Có lẽ mình muốn gì? Hay thìไม่讲东西。哦，反正啊，这个你不会，what's the white and shallow one 啊？ไม่ What do I say? What's the factor?
I know, but like how it is.
Then you say that the more surface area it is, the greater the rate of vibration, ma. Yeah. See, that is actually like what if you want. No, the wider the surface area, the larger the greater the rate of the vibration, ma. And I say why the pressure of the gas must be kept constant to this comparison, meaning why the changing what? The changing volume and temperature. Is it? Volume and temperature. I told you this from last time, right? Because when you say two things, one of them must be kept constant because of what? In front of what will happen. If let's say right now the volume is changing, the gas, the temperature is changing, and also the pressure is changing. And you don't know which one to compare to, right? It is so that you must keep the pressure constant so that you have a fair comparison between the volume and temperature. Yes. That's it. Yeah. When you play with these three things now, pressure, volume, and temperature, right? You know, like that temperature is quite constant, can increase in pressure, it's going to decrease the volume. Right. If the volume is quite constant, an increase in temperature is going to increase your pressure. All of these three things are quite constant. Right now, the volume and temperature is not changing towards this is accidentally. This is the one issue of changing the can change the total. These things back over these things. So yeah, this should be the thing like pressure of the gas in the because in order for a fair comparison between volume and temperature, in order for a fair comparison between volume and temperature. Guys, if you're lost or you're stuck, please don't stare at your question. Make sure you ask and you know and then you can proceed.
I can't comprehend this better today. This one is so from the molecules. So what happened to the molecules when you apply the empty rate? Thank you. What? I didn't get on with I didn't comprehend this statement.
The value and yeah, if you have had your question on 5 minutes then to discuss whatever questions you have already done. Whatever you have not done, is most likely going to be your homework already. Most likely next week when we're done discussing the questions, we'll do a new chapter. And once we do the new chapter, I'm gonna do one more revision for the whole thermal physics. Then guess what time it is again, guys? Soon. And this time, I hope everyone can aim for a minimum 60% and above, preferably 70. Yeah. Need more kinetic energy. Oh, so they gain more kinetic energy and then break the force of attraction and change state, is that what they want? I don't know. Yeah, but if that's what they want. Let me see if that's what the question is. They overcome the forces of attraction and then they change state from liquid into gas. Apart from the temperature which occurs, how boiling and evaporation occurs, what's the difference between boiling and evaporation? This told you just now, right? Why does evaporation occur? Where? Ah. Yes. No, where does evaporation occur? On the surface. Oh, boiling occurs from the liquid ma. Okay, like that. Okay, even like very these things are like boiling. When boiling occurs, then bubbles form, evaporation doesn't form bubbles. By literally anything that's different. You'll back up. Okay. No, of course not. Anytime you do with temperature, you have to make sure two things, man. You don't. Okay, I'll explain this later. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute, huh? Alright guys, let's go through some of the questions here, guys. Whatever exercise that you cannot finish, that will be your homework for this week, guys. Make sure you do the homework. Okay, if you look at the first question here, Aaron, stop writing already, pay attention. Everything else is going to be open already. If you look at the first question here, figure 4.1 shows some apparatus that the student uses to determine the specific heat capacity of aluminium, right? You have a lot of things, electrical circuit, electrical heater, insulating lid, thermometer, aluminum block, and insulating container. State the measurements the student needs to make, including those from the electrical circuit. For each quantity measured, state the symbol. So if you think about it right now, I need to find the specific capacity here. You're supposed to relate back to the formula, guys. Power times time is equals to MC theta. In other words, in order to find the specific capacity, it's power times time is equals to M over M theta is equals to C, right? Literally algebra, guys. Anyone that don't know this, let me know so I can lead you until you know, right? Then from here, these are the four things you need to measure for the specific capacity, right? You will definitely need the power, which is in watts, the time, which is in seconds, the mass, which is in kg, and the change in temperature, which is in degrees Celsius. Literally write all those things down. You need to measure the power in watts. Blah, 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 blah. Write down yourself. I think everyone shouldn't have a problem. I had a look around already just now. Everything is fine. However you want to structure it. Look, even the mark scheme, they don't care much, guys. Maybe the temperature, they only say that the final and initial temperature. Probably this is the thing that most of you guys did not write down. You only said you need to measure the change in temperature, but you're supposed to write, you're supposed to measure the initial and final temperature. So you can find a change in temperature. And then the power, you don't have to care too much first. Just say you need to measure the power in watts, because this one here is the year 11 thing. You haven't learned it yet, but it's fine. Just leave it as power first. Okay. Then after that, this next question here. 2 containers made of insulating materials contain the same volume of water at room temperature. The containers do not have lids for evaporation, obviously. And the volume of lids in each container gradually decreases. After a certain amount of time, the temperature of the water has decreased below room temperature, which is what I mentioned just now, right? Because the surface molecules constantly gain energy and escape to the surrounding. Explain in terms of molecules why the temperature decreases. You're going to say, the surface molecules. Once again, if they write molecules here, you write molecules. If they write particles here, you write particles. Surface molecules absorb energy from the molecules below, leaving behind the less energetic as temperature increases. Temperature decreases. Something along these lines. Doesn't have to be word by word. If you mention that the surface molecules are absorbing energy, leaving from below, going through evaporation. I'm sorry. Surface molecules absorb energy. Maybe you include the whole process of evaporation. Oh shit, how am I going to write this up? Surface molecules absorb energy from the molecules below. The energetic molecules escape to the surrounding. Yeah, something like this. You mentioned that they escape to the surrounding and then leaving behind the less energetic molecules. And obviously the temperature decrease off. Right. Then this one here, predict which one is going to have a greater rate of cooling. Explain your answer. Obviously, you're going to say that the wide and shallow one. Explanation is literally because more surface area, more evaporation occurs. However way you want to structure it, like literally however way you want to structure it, it's going to be fine. As you can see here, literally you don't care much as long as you write a few keywords, it's good enough already. Okay, right. Then after that, the next question here, expands the most, obviously is going to be gas. Expand the least, obviously is going to be solid. What was the reason again? Why do gas expand the most and solid expand the least? Because of what? I think you learned this in chemistry also, right? Yes, it's because of the stronger forces of attraction between the solids and the weaker forces of attraction between the gas molecules. Very important. I better make sure you know this. I explain why the gas must be kept constant in this comparison. If you're playing with volume and temperature, obviously pressure will have an effect on both of them, right? So that if you keep it constant, it basically, what's it called, doesn't affect you have a fair comparison now, right? So that you have a fair comparison between the volume and temperature, guys. Yeah. So if you wrote something like pressure affects volume and temperature, keeping it constant allows for a fair comparison. Something along these lines, literally however way you want to structure it. All right, but no exact one way. No one way Jesus. Anyone heard of that song before? One way Jesus. Oh, really? It's a damn popular song. The day one of the students were singing. Okay, anyways. Okay, everyone. Then most likely this question here, I think most of you guys should be done, except for maybe one or two questions. Stay and explain which pan has a greater rate of evaporation of water when both pans are heated. Obviously, the larger pan, right? Obviously, right? Larger pan, has a larger surface area. And bam, you get your one. Easy. Think no need to elaborate for this one here. Right. Apart from temperature from which it occurs, state how boiling differs from the evaporation. I've had quite a few very creative answers from boiling and evaporation. But eventually you need to know what's the difference. Boiling occurs only at one temperature. Evaporation occurs at any temperature. Boiling creates bubbles. Evaporation doesn't create bubble. Boiling occurs throughout the liquid. Evaporation only on the surface. Right, literally anything like literally anything you want to write is acceptable Okay, I think everyone should have gotten this also but I'll just write evaporation occurs on the surface. Literally anything seriously. And finally, explain the effects on the molecules of the thermal energy supply. So basically, this question here is basically saying that I'm supplying heat energy to the water molecules and they're asking you what will happen, right? So, you're supposed to say, they definitely gain more kinetic energy lah. Right. Now that I look at it, I've always seen that this part here not move faster / more kinetic energy. I think they mean not move faster only, then /
I heard the whole section is down.
What? Sorry?
But I read the bonds are broken, but they say not, and the whole thing thinking about it.
Oh.
Like, does it only
Maybe
apply-
don't write more kinetic energy. I'm not quite sure about this, but to my understanding, they definitely gain more kinetic energy. But probably don't write this because I'm not too sure. There's better alternatives to write this. You probably write like they gain energy, molecules gain energy and move further apart until the forces of attraction are overcome and they change from liquid to gas state. Okay, done. And then this next question here. How many of you guys are done with the calculation? Oh, right. This was the question. I forgot to walk around and have a look. You would spare you first. This one, is the energy required to heat up 1 kg of object by 1 degree Celsius will be acceptable? This one, then you need to change the temperature of the wood. Excellent. Change the system mass. Normal system mass is 1 kg of mass by 1 degree Celsius. Degree Celsius, okay, good. You back. Energy needed 1 kg of system good. And this one. Excellent. And this conversation, if specific recipe always comes around for you, you better watch the video on because this question literally really you learn thermal physics because you stick through it and then electrical energy. The electrical energy is supposed to be the first chapter of year 11. So you'll be a bit derailed a bit, but no worries, I'll follow my sequence. Should be. Okay. Okay. Then after that, how many of you guys did the calculation here? How many of you guys found the answer to be 951, I think? 950 or 951 joules per kg degree Celsius. You guys got it? Can Oh, very good. I'm very pleased to see that everyone got this question here. The answer should be somewhere around 950, exactly 950. Joules per kg degree Celsius are very important. These kind of questions always come on our way. You all need to know how to do this. Kaixin, you got this also? Got it, Changi, you also got it, right? Okay. Right. Now I don't want to waste too much time explaining already. And then this part here, which is the final thing I want to talk about, guys. These kind of questions are always comes up in your heat energy questions, guys. They'll always say that in this experiment, no attempts were made to prevent loss of thermal energy from the surface. So just 2 actions the student could take to reduce the thermal energy loss. First and foremost, you need to know why you need to reduce the thermal energy loss, guys. Do you know that these kind of scenarios here that I've always mentioned, like these kind of scenarios here, pay attention, to look behind, pay attention is important. These kind of scenarios here, we're always assuming all the electrical energy that is supplied to this heater, all the electrical energy is only supplied to this block and then is used to raise the temperature. In reality, do you think this is possible? It's not possible. Why is it not possible? What will happen to the real energy? Lost to where? Lost to where? Good. It will be lost to the surrounding. Right. And you'll be lost in the woods. Right. And because of that, in reality, what we want to do is whenever we're dealing with any heat related question, guys, we want to prevent, everyone pay attention. We want to prevent the heat energy from being lost to the surrounding, and that is the reason why we always use these insulators, regardless of whatever heat. Close to the she can't see. Regardless of whatever heat related questions, guys, always we want to prevent the heat energy loss because we want to have a more accurate answer when we do the calculation. These kind of calculations is always assuming 100% of transference energy. But in reality, it will never be 100% of the transference of energy. Okay, and so from here, this question, you'll see that you have 2 ways to reduce the heat energy loss, right? This is also a damn standard question with a damn standard answer. Number 1, add insulation around the metal block. And number 2, as dumb as it may sound, add insulation on the metal block, on top. Seriously, it sounds dumb, right? But it's both answers. Because when you add the insulation around the block, it prevents heat loss to the surrounding. When you add it on top, it prevents convection occurring, which is something that you're going to learn next week.
I mean, technically, would it still be lost if like dissipating into the insulation?
But if you have insulation on, it will prevent a lot of heat loss already. Because even if it's lost to the insulator, right, the insulator will not conduct the heat. So it's like, you know, like how blankets work. Your body is constantly losing heat in the sleep, right? So your blanket is the insulator that prevents the heat being lost to the surrounding. If you don't have a blanket on, your heat will constantly be lost to the surrounding as you sleep, and then you wake up that cold. That's why you use a blanket. So it's the same concept of blanket. Okay, and that's what the insulators are. Okay, guys, everything else is going to be your homework. Finish it up. We'll discuss the answers next week, and then we'll move on to the final chapter of thermal physics.
Good luck, guys.